Sūrat Ar-Rum is the 30th surah of the Quran. It consists of 60 ayat. The term Rum originated in the word Romans, and in the time of Muhammad referred to the Byzantine Empire. Hence the title is sometimes also translated as the Byzantines. Chronology. According to Theodore Noldaki, Ar-Rum was the second to last Meccan surah and the 84th surah chronologically. However, he argues its 17th ayah was revealed during the Medinan period, while the first ayah of the surah refers to the defeat of the Byzantine Empire at the hands of the Sasanian Empire near Damascus in the spring of 614. Noldaki notes that this does not necessarily indicate 614 was the year in which the surah was revealed. Content. The surah begins by noting the recent defeat of the Byzantines by the Persians at the Battle of Antioch. This defeat posed a significant theological and sociological problem for the early Muslim community because the Byzantines were Christians and considered monotheists, while the state that defeated them were considered Jewists because the official religion was Zoroastrianism. The surah is in part a response to the non-Muslim Meccans, who took this victory as a sign that the traditional polytheistic practices would win out over monotheism. In the third and fourth ayatain, the Muslim community is promised that the Byzantines will reverse the defeat into a victory in a few years' time. The Romans were vanquished in the closer region, and they, after being vanquished, will prevail within a certain number of years. To God belongs the command before and after, and that day ones who believe will be glad with the help of God. He helps whom he wills, and he is the Almighty, the Compassionate. This victory did eventually come during Heraclius's campaign of 622. Literary units. In his tafsir, entitled In the Shade of the Quran, Sayyid Qutb divides the surah into two halves, the verses 1 to 32 and verses 33 to 60. Each section begins with an assertion of God's grace and mercy and ends with encouragement for Muhammad and his community. First section, signs to reflect upon 30 to 1-6. The natural bond of faith notes the Byzantine defeat and prophecies a coming victory promised by God. 30 to 1-5. To whom power belongs, declares the truth of the universe. 30 to 8-10. Invitation to reflect reminds the believers of the fates of other disobedient communities. 30 to 11-16. Two divergent wars, describes the Last Judgment. 30 to 17-27. Scene of God's glory. The cycle of life and death, and man and the universe, offers praise for God and all his powers and signs. 30 to 28. Analogy drawn from human life, uses a metaphor about slavery to condemn the sin of shirk. 30 to 29-32. Concluding directive to Prophet, urges the listeners to turn to the truth and resist dividing into sects. Second section, bringing life out of the dead. 30 to 33-39. Vacillating conditions, reassures the Muslim community of God's mercy and grace for true believers and offers suggestions for behavior like giving to the needy or avoiding usury. 30 to 40-45. Corruption and pollution, reminds people of the promise of resurrection at the Last Judgment and the fates of polytheist communities. 30 to 47-54. Aspects of God's grace, emphasizes resurrection as one of signs of God's mercy and grace when believers lose hope. 30 to 52-57. The different stages of man's life, describes the weakness and folly of man and the fate of evildoers at the Last Judgment. 30 to 58-59. No change of position, decries the non-believers who refuse to listen to Muhammad but asserts that God leads astray who he wills. 30 to 60. Urges Muhammad and his community to persevere. Major themes. The main theme of the surah is the contrast between monotheism and polytheism, in addition to making logical arguments against ascribing partners to Allah. Several verses outline the differing fate for idolaters and believers. The unity of God is also emphasized with descriptions of the glory of Allah through illustrations of His wondrous signs and His miraculous creation. Sample verse. Surah 30 includes a verse comparing the association of partners with God, which is the sin of shirk, to the relationship between a master and his slaves. He propounds a parable for you from yourselves. Have you, among those whom your right hands possessed, ascribed associates in what we provided you so that you share as equals and you fear them like your or for each other? Thus we explain distinctly the signs to a folk who are reasonable.